This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Matt, I was recently reading this article, and it stopped me in my tracks. This cannot be true. And it said that 8.5% of homes are now in the U.S. This isn't regionally. This isn't in the state of California. Nationally, 8.5% of homes are now valued at over $1 million.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Almost 1 in 10. 1 in 10 homes in the U.S. is almost valued at over $1 million.
That's incredible. Because I think about my grandpa. I think he bought his home for around $15,000 back in the 50s or 60s. $15,000.
Yep. And grandma was probably pissed because you're way overpaying for this house.
Right, exactly.
Yep. And so we hear that story a lot.
But then again, homes back in the day were not what they are now. It was a 3-bedroom, oftentimes a 1-bath, like maybe 1,200 square feet.
True.
Correct?
Yeah.
But then a massive backyard, like a half-acre backyard.
And you have a little park back there.
Right.
But it just gets me thinking, you're starting to hear now politicians are talking about it more, making affordability, housing affordability, a part of their platform. And I really am curious to see what happens in the next 30, maybe even 50 years in the U.S.
So just go back to clarify. You think the statistic that 1 in 10 homes now in America is over $1 million is a good thing or a bad thing?
If you're selling the homes, I think it's a good thing.
Which is what you do.
Yeah, but if you are the person who is looking to purchase that home, how is somebody who went to college and now has a little bit of college debt? Maybe they went responsibly, they have an engineering degree, they're paying down their debt. I'm not talking about somebody who got a degree in underwater basket weaving and is 6 figures in debt, right? But a productive member of society now has gone through the system. They went through school, they went through college, they got married, and now they're looking to take the next step at homeownership. What is that? How are they supposed to do that?
Right, because like we've talked about before, the American dream has always been for now hundreds of years to own land or own property or own your own home. That's the American dream. That's what everyone strives for. If one day I can own my own home, and what you're saying is it's becoming harder and harder to achieve that.
I think affordability is definitely becoming it's increasing the barrier to entry, and so maybe back in the day, maybe owning a home used to be a good investment, but now in today's owning your primary residence, I would not say is a good investment.
Why?
That doesn't appreciate the way the loans are structured, the way the costs, the taxes, the maintenance. If you are not necessarily money ahead if you're living in that home 7 to 10 years.
But your home appreciates.
And
instead of paying a landlord, you're putting that money back into the home.
But you have to stay in a long period of time. And so for most people, their first home, they're not staying in that for an extended period of time unless they buy that home and they never move out of it again. And then what are they doing? They're selling their home to move into a retirement home. So you at the end of the day, my opinion of an investment is something that puts money into your bank account. When you're living in a home, it's taking money out of your bank account. You're paying to be there. And so with that perspective of maybe your primary residence, now if you own rentals, that's a different conversation. But if your primary residence is not a good investment, so now we're talking about a lifestyle choice. And so why would somebody who's already under financial pressure be incentivized to go out and spend $1 million on, a home?
Right.
It's really it's become less of an investment and more of a lifestyle choice. You live in a home, right?
Right.
How much money has that home made you?
Well, I've lived in it. I bought it when the market was down.
But how much?
It's appreciated.
Sure, but how much money has it put in your bank account?
Well, my home's. I'm not sure where you're going or what you're saying.
So my point is you bought a home. You bought a home at a great time, right? You have a lot.
I'm not charging my kids rent. It's
Yep.
not. I'm not.
I know.
I
get
off
it.
my
That's
own.
my point, though. You have a lot of equity.
Sure.
But then what's going to happen to that equity? You're going to roll it in. If you ever sell, you're going to roll it into another property.
Right.
And then you're going to continue to pay. And then when you buy that next property, you're paying primarily interest on that loan. You're not paying down the principal. You're paying the bank.
Sure.
And so now you're just rolling, you're just moving your money around, and then eventually maybe someday you'll sell it, and then you might realize the profit.
Right.
Maybe when you downsize.
Right.
Maybe, right?
Right.
Depending on how life plays out. So when talking about whether or not a home's an investment, that's my point. Like there are so many people who buy the home and then when you're not factoring in maintenance, you're not factoring in insurance,
Right.
you're not factoring in all the costs associated with being there.
Sure.
You're not factoring. So your typical.
So what you're saying is people should just rent.
So what I'm saying is I think in the next 30 to 50 years, the U.S. I think it's currently making a shift. People are building homes. Developers are building properties with no intent of putting them on the market. They're renting them out.
Because that's the way it is in Europe, in other parts of the country, is you don't have the same amount of people that own homes as you do in the U.S.
Yeah, homeownership's not what it is here. And so what I think is going to be happening, and I've been saying this now for a while, but now I'm on the radio and I have a little bit more of a platform. What I've been saying for a while is the U.S. is going to move away from homeownership being the American dream, and it's just going to be coming into you're going to rent. You're going to rent your car. You're going to rent everything. You rent your phone. Like how many people own their phones?
That's true.
They're probably making a payment plan. You're just renting everything. And so in the next 30 to 50 years, homeownership is not going to be a thing. And so
what's your perspective on that?
I think that's bad. And the reason why is because politicians are often doing things to please the constituents. And so now if homeowners or people are wanting homeownership, and there's a lot of people that own homes, they're going to try to figure out a way to make that affordable. They're going to pass legislation to allow for new construction, new builds. They're going to ease up regulations on inner cities and like ADUs. Mm-hmm. They're working for the people. But if the people don't own the homes, then who are they working for? They're working for the lobbyists. They're working for their donors. And then that power gets consolidated from instead of being 300 people in a community, now it's one corporation that owns the community. And so that consolidation of power is what I don't like. Not necessarily against corporations. I just don't like politicians now being incentivized to yield to corporations rather than listen to the people that put them in office.
Interesting.
So that's my big. I don't like the fact that.
So you're saying even with more development in the Northern California, Sacramento region, even with increased development and construction that we're seeing in different areas, you're saying that it's being bought up by corporations who are turning these properties into rentals.
Corporations, or even there are a lot of people that own rental properties that maybe they own one or two, but there are a ton of people who own 20, 30, 50, 1,000. And when I say people, at this point they're corporations.
Right.
You may have them in LLCs and stuff. And the reason why they're doing that is because it's a fantastic investment.
Sure.
Because now, again, to differentiate from your primary residence, they're renting them out and they're cash flowing. They are putting money in these corporations' bank accounts every single month. And they're getting the tax benefits from the depreciation, and they're getting the appreciation, and they're getting to write off all the repairs. There's a lot of incentives for corporations now to move into the safe asset class because people have to live somewhere.
Right.
And so one way to potentially slow that down with the corporate takeover is just to de-incentivize certain organizations, certain aspects of the tax code, so where maybe a mom and pop person can own a couple of rentals, or maybe an individual can own a home, and there's more benefits to them there, and there's less benefits to a BlackRock coming in and buying up thousands of homes.
And you mentioned this earlier. The bottom line is because you think that power in our country should be diversified, and owning your own home in some sense is power.
Absolutely.
Correct?
So in the state of California, I haven't run the numbers recently, but in the state of California, every single time a house sells, again, this is just average numbers, but on average, boom, $175,000 is pumped into the economy. $175,000 per home. That's across title, escrow, lenders, realtors, handymen, inspectors, all pool companies, all of these solar companies. You can just go down the list. Roofers. There's so many different people that make money off of a real estate transaction in some form or fashion, or thereabout, around it. Mm-hmm. And so, if you are now taking that away from the individual, so that's a lot of power, that's a lot of sway, that's a lot of economic influence that an individual has. And now if you've taken that economic influence out of the community and you've given it to a couple corporations, to me, that's the consolidation of power that I'm not in favor of.
Interesting. Wow, I would not have thought that you would bring that kind of perspective, but that's what makes you unique and real. I think that's what people appreciate, Johnny Jennings.
Yeah, I'm real.
And you know, I mean, I'm not sure what your goal here is, but are you planning to run for office? Is that what you want to announce here today on this show, that you are running for office? Gavin Newsom obviously will be our next president, it looks like, in the next session.
Who knows?
And you'll be taking over for Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, I'll be the governor. Yeah, no, absolutely.
The governator?
No, but here's the thing. I have no interest in politics. That's a whole nother.
Because you work with a lot of people. Obviously, you work with a lot of families, and it can become frustrating when homes are unaffordable, right?
Yeah.
And so you're doing your best. You're doing the best you can do to make sure that families find, something that they can afford. But at a certain point, it becomes frustrating.
It becomes frustrating because I just see the writing on the wall. I see the pendulum swing in a certain direction, and unless the corporations are de-incentivized to invest in these asset classes, they're just going to continue to do it more and more and more and more. And now they're competing with, somebody who just got out of college and has debt and, a 2-year-old. So
there you go.
I'm not necessarily a fan of that. But we do have lots of down payment assistance programs. We have lots of first-time homeowner programs. We're here to help people. We're here to make that dream a reality if that's what you're wanting to do. But I think it's ridiculous that the 1 in 10 homes is worth $1 million. So on that happy note, we'll see you next time.